Check, check. Good morning, friends. We appear to be back with sound. I had to uh, reboot the microphone. Not quite sure what's going on there, but hopefully we will hold out for the rest of our live stream. I'll give it a moment and see if we have the opportunity to reconnect with those who came before us. Good morning, everybody. We'll give it 2 minutes here and then I'll get going and hopefully we can make it through without technical problems. Just as a reminder, if you are interested in the talk that I gave on my time on the Camino, that is available on YouTube and on our YouTube page and on our. Hey, there we are. All right, it's working now. Hi, Jane. Hi, Kristen. Sorry about that. This is it is the joys of live. I don't know why these things work, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's magic. It's magic. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but here we are. So, all right. Good morning again, John. Yes. Let's try this again. All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well. Good morning and welcome. It is a little after 11:11 on this, the 6th day of February, this first week of February, where we can have the opportunity to gather and enjoy this life together for just a moment. It is. It's kind of a sad day for me, and I want to kind of just start there to maybe tell you a little story of why. Because I woke up this morning to find out that Toby Keith, the country artist, has he passed into the next life last night, and for some that might seem like a small movement of things, it's not like as if Toby Keith and I were great friends or we hung out, but there's a real, but for me and for many soldiers actually, there is a real, what is called a parasocial relationship with him and I. That you see, when I was in Iraq in 2011, Toby Keith came to give a concert, and it was super exciting because it was 2011. It was kind of the very end of the much of the U.S. at least initial kind of connection to Iraq. Not that there aren't folks in Iraq right now still continuing to serve, but the large Operation Iraqi Freedom that had gone on for over 10 years or about 10 years was really coming to an end in terms of that level of engagement, and it was the very end, and so often there were certainly years earlier stories of much of big artists coming through and being there for to bring a little joy to the soldiers that were serving there. By 2011, it had kind of grown old, I think, for many performers. But for Toby Keith, he was extremely dedicated to the care of warriors that were in harm's way, and he came, and so it was a big deal to see somebody of his quality in Baghdad. And so we got there. A whole bunch of us from the headquarters went over, and we got there early and tried to get our spot. And with a crush of other soldiers that were coming in from all over the base, and actually, I think in many ways all over the country of Iraq. And just as Toby had come out on stage, just as things were getting warmed up, and he's beginning, I think near maybe his first song, the incoming alarm went off, and so there we are, 2,000 of my best friends laying in the dirt as we're waiting to find out what happens with the incoming alarms. Now, there was a mortar attack on base someplace. Nobody got hurt that time, so we're all very lucky. But to see the movement of all the little handlers of Toby Keith to kind of grab him and run for the bunker and stuff him in there, and we were pretty convinced at that point that that was going to be the end of the concert. And we were like, oh man, really? And but sure enough, he actually changed. He actually came out and gave one of the best concerts I'd ever seen. After that, it was, he jokingly called it the Hunker and the Bunker tour. It became legendary among myself and many of my comrades that I was deployed with as a bright spot in a difficult place, in a difficult time. And that really started, I think, many of us, our what is called a parasocial relationship. Now, there's a name for this, and actually our whole life is punctuated, it's filled with parasocial relationships. And a parasocial relationship is this. It is a relationship that is one way. It's often the relationships we have with famous people. Do you think about, your favorite star or your favorite musician? They're what are called parasocial relationships because they don't know you exist. Toby Keith didn't know I existed. But he actually took up a decent place in my psyche, that in terms of what he offered me, in terms of the music and the performance and the place and the time and the shared experience that we'd gone through, even though he didn't know it was a shared experience. I was on a text thread this morning with some friends of mine, and one of my friends said, this sucks, and I'm not, and it sucks a lot. He said this was his quote. He says, that concert and listening to his music was a huge factor in my mental well-being during and post-deployment. The power of the parasocial relationship, and there's a lot written about this, and there's a lot driven about this idea of whether these things are a good thing or not. I tend to think most relationships are good, that most of our relationships are good, but we have to actually see them in their right structure and in their right way. That what we're all accustomed to the obsessed fan of a famous person that takes this parasocial relationship to a toxic place, or even we who might take a parasocial relationship and dedicate entirely too much time. I mean, how much time do we dedicate to the love of the Patriots, the love of Tom Brady, the love of Bill Belichick? Well, nobody. Does anybody really love Bill Belichick? I don't know. But that these engagements that we have to people that don't know us and that will never know us. And there's many questions about it. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I'm convinced it's largely a good thing. These are things that connect us, they hold us together, but they have to be good things in the right way and in the right purpose. And that we have to remember that our parasocial relationships are not our true relationships, are not our deep relationships, and especially are not our relationships with God. There's a story of a woman who says that she lost her husband and she was just devastated with grief. He died of an aggressive cancer, and it was her that caring for him at the end of his life, walking him to the door, being with him through that part, just crushed her. It was just difficult, and her heart was broken, and she she really believed at that point that her romantic life was over, that she just would never care for another person, would never feel warmth in that romantic sort of way ever again. And then as things will unfold, she realized one day that she was listening to a lot of Josh Groban. Now, whatever you think of Josh Groban, that's fine, but she was listening to a lot of Josh Groban, and she discovered that she had a little crush on Josh Groban. That it actually made her heart flutter a little bit when the song would come on the radio or when she, queued it up on the Spotify. And that her realization of that was one of the most life-giving things that she could bring. That the beauty of these parasocial relationships, in many ways, they are gifts. They are gifts that come almost asking nothing of us. That the way Toby Keith cared for that group of soldiers, and that group, I was one of them, and cared for my friend through his music and through the gifts that he offered to the world. And they were these incredible gifts that came, which was really disconnected from me. I mean, he didn't have a real connection with me. He didn't know me. He didn't know my friend. Josh Groban didn't know this woman, but what Josh Groban was able to kindle in her heart allowed her to begin to realize she was actually capable of those feelings again. That what Toby Keith was able to kindle in our hearts was this sense of hope and sense of courage and sense of wonder in it. And that all of this was a good and right and true and had a really powerful and good place. But at the end, the real relationships of our life are, and one of the reasons I think we can be seduced by parasocial relationships is because they are easy that way, because they are gifts. They really are gifts from God. I mean, the talent of a Josh Groban and the talent of a Toby Keith is a gift. And when that gift is shared with the world, it truly comes to us in a way that transforms us. But that the real relationships of our lives, the people we have to endure when they wake up and have bad breath, the people that we have to endure when that know all the things about us and that are some of them unflattering, and that we know all the things about them and some of them unflattering. But I think is actually all of this is an invitation to how we are truly made. That we are made for both the parasocial relationship and the truly deep and wonderful and beautiful relationship. And that all of these, both of these, the whole of these, are gifts from God. When we think about the relationship we have with God, we can turn to the psalmist, the 139th Psalm. And I tell you this story. I tell you a little about the sadness of my heart today. I tell you a little about the hope of this woman and the sadness of some of my friends and this whole journey to bring you to this place to hear these words from the 139th Psalm, that you might realize that within them are not just that this is not a parasocial relationship we have with God. It is, because I think that's one of the great temptations, actually. And it's been said that we are in a parasocial relationship with God. That God doesn't really care about us. God doesn't really care about and this is a great case that's made out there, that the gods don't care about us, or that God that in many ways that's true. The gods don't care about us. The gods of Walmart don't know your name and don't care about you unless they're trying to market to you, and they will. The gods of the IRS don't know your name and don't care about you unless you don't pay your taxes, and then they will. But the one who loves us, the one who made us, the one who offers all of these levels of gifts, the gifts of the parasocial and the truly social and the romantic and the beautiful and the wondrous, is the one who made us. And that's the wonder of it. The wonder of it is that we were made by the hand of God, who loves us into being, who loves us so profoundly we can't imagine that as much as we can imagine being loved, as much as we can imagine caring for somebody, as much as we can imagine caring for another person, God loves us more than that. And then all of these levels of connection are deeper. And our shadows and our shadows of the great love that God has for us. From the 139th Psalm. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I will praise you, For I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance, and in your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, and when as yet there was none of them. Friends, all of your days have been formed for you by the one who made you. All of these brilliant little relationships we end up in, all of these wondrous little ways that we get to know joy and to be joy in this world, all of the very inward parts, maybe even the inward parts that you are not so proud of, or the inward parts that you just don't know how to shed and you feel like you should, or the inward parts that you feel shame and doubt and guilt and anxiety around. No matter all of them, they are known and they are loved, and that they are held in the palm of your Creator's hand, and that in them and through them you are being brought closer and closer and closer to that more beautiful perfection that God has in store for you. That's the hope of this day, that we might in these relationships, in these parasocial and in these social and in these all of the different ways we come to be known by other people, or other people come to know us, that we can remember that we are first known by the one who loves us, and that every day is numbered and given to us as a gift. Just like the music of a Toby Keith, or the music of a Josh Groban, or the incredible play of a Tom Brady, given to us as a gift to enjoy and revel in and live out in all of our days. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. Thanks for sticking with us, and for all the technical problems, peace and grace to you. And we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.